Hey everybody, it's Brady Armstrong, and we are on force number 3, their reactions. Some things are not controllable. How other people react is one of them. Don't fret over things you cannot control, but always be ready for them. Isn't it gratifying when someone greets you for the first time and they don't show the slightest sign of suspicion for what happened to you to create the scars? If you're like me, this doesn't happen often. I've got a knack for recognizing curiosity in most people, especially when it's geared towards me, and I've found that most people are curious to know what happened. It's imperative to realize that we are incapable of preventing offensive reactions altogether. We'll witness reactions of every kind from people. Some will be spontaneous, while others will be planned out. Controlling how people will react to us is impossible. The most we can do is be ready for them. We're about to explore a list of common reactions that other people can have when shown your scars for the first time. Usually, it's a combination of reactions happening simultaneously. Reactions can be subtle, but can also be outwardly intrusive. Depending on the setting and environment, each reaction is capable of producing some degree of distress if you are not adequately prepared for it. To be fully equipped in training, you'll want solid awareness as to what reactions to expect. We'll take a detailed look at the following common reactions. There are 11 of them. They are politeness, staring, pointing, curiosity, indirect approaches, sorrow, withdraw, embarrassment, fear, disgust, and ridicule. The first one is politeness. When someone is polite, you'll notice that they're intentionally avoiding the placement of their energy and attention focused on your scars. They will direct eye movement and verbal interaction to other areas in effort to conceal their curiosity. But you sense them periodically catching a quick glance at you when you're not looking. Has this ever happened to you? What do you do when you find this kind of politeness in people? Useful tips. Allow the person to be polite. There shouldn't be an urgency to satisfy their curiosity immediately. Answers can be given to them over time if the relationship carries on. For brief encounters, find humor in their discreet behavior. Don't find reasons to be offended when a person is only trying to be polite. If effective communication requires all uneasiness to cease, bring the topic of your scars to the table by exhibiting an even greater amount of politeness. The next one is staring. You get the feeling that you're being heavily examined. Quite frankly, you are. People naturally seek comfort in their surroundings, and inspecting something they find to be abnormal, even a strange face or someone's appearance, is totally normal behavior. Some will stare at you point blank, but most will stare with the mistaken belief that they are under your radar. Your sixth sense knows better. You can sense a stare a mile away. What do you do when you know someone is staring at you? Here are my useful tips. Understand why people stare, and don't get offended by it. Allow everyone the chance to feel comfortable with you around. This means allowing them to look. Interrupting a stare is counterproductive, for the sooner the observer gathers the information they need for their own comfort, the sooner your interaction will either proceed to the next level or cease altogether. A stare has some resemblance to a computer screen that is downloading data or a program. Once the information has transmitted completely, the waiting game is over and interaction can begin. At times you might find people who simply won't stop staring. Curiosity has them confounded. At this point, you might find it constructive to either offer them a closer look through conversation or leave altogether. Some find it better to friendly approach the person rather than shun them when they're trying to process information. Offering a closer look is an action that demonstrates confidence on your part and attentiveness to their interest in you. Between you and me, staring was something that took me a long time to get used to. I hated the attention. I hated when someone would just stare at me nonstop. It made me so uncomfortable. But the more I understood why they were staring at me, I became less offended. Where before I found just the act of staring harmful, it really wasn't. I realized that all they were trying to do was feel comfortable and get used to me. Now, I don't see any problem with that. Moving on to pointing. Public scrutiny begins to escalate when someone has the nerve to single you out with a gesture that draws additional attention in your direction. Pointing is an action usually founded on an effort to attract numerous views and remarks from multiple sources. At this moment, you become a target object of review, a situation that can become severely uncomfortable as you may feel degraded and publicly demeaned. What things have you noticed happening when people are pointing at you, and how have you chosen to handle the situation? Useful tips. Increase your cognitive awareness to what is happening overall, and decrease your emotional connection to what is being said and heard. You know what is happening, but it doesn't need to offend you. No response on your part is required. But if you feel that you must respond to the gestures and control the incoming traffic of surveillance, be bold enough to say something that does not entice mockery, and do it in a way that demonstrates a serene and solid composure. My simple response is usually a cordial, "Thank you for noticing me. Is there a question I can answer for you?" Understand, someone who is going to point at you out of spite is not concerned about anyone but themselves. The meaning of the gesture changes dramatically when they point from astonishment and shock, or when they point with hostility. Remember, the purpose of pointing is to draw attention to you. You will undoubtedly have everyone's attention, so use this moment as an opportunity to demonstrate that you are not only unique, but also balanced and poised with self-confidence. The next reaction is curiosity. Everyone is curious, but now curiosity has carried someone far enough that they ask a question. A direct question, too. "What happened to you?" Or, "Why do you look that way?" They will ask these questions in private settings, and they will ask where others can hear and listen in as well. Sometimes they will be loud and rude about it. Decide now what your reply will be. What direct questions have you already been asked, and how have you answered them? My useful tips. A requisite for thriving in a world populated with curious human beings is to gain a genuine appreciation for questions. Curious people will bring you either torment or alleviation. You decide what it will be. Become a storyteller. Not everyone has a gift for telling a captivating story, but storytelling is incontestably a talent you can acquire over time. People inherently enjoy stories, and you will see that when people become engaged in yours, a sincere affection for you as the survivor, the champion of the story, will grow within your audience. If you choose to evade questions about your scars, it will be interpreted that you are ashamed of them. Many people already have a prior inclination that you are ashamed. It pains them to imagine what it's like to have scars like yours. When you don't talk openly about it, you reinforce the inclination that you're suffering. The result is people feeling sorry for you. You don't want pity, you want commendation. So don't be afraid to be zealous. Celebrate your life by answering questions and by sharing your story.